That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet.
When you could not prove anyone right or wrong, all the expertise was contained in the people involved in the conversation.
We hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us. Now,
Kind of like a lathe.
Yeah.
Well, so, that's the most disheartening thing I could hear. You've already seen that.
I've seen it.
My mom had one in the basement that you...
Oh, did she really?
Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, a podcast about talking. We're your hosts, Peter Billman.
I'm Cecil Davis.
And we're just here trying to have a conversation without Googling or fact-checking. Those things can so easily kill the conversation.
And welcome back from Christmas. I'm sure everybody had great Christmas conversations. Did you kill any conversations over Christmas?
We did not, but I feel like, and I say we, because I want to welcome my son, Jack Beelman, to the studio. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going? Happy to be here.
I think we had to fight some things. We had to fight the phone a couple times, put away the phone to keep the conversation going.
It's very tempting. It's very tempting to look up stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. There was something that I wanted to, I did Google some stuff after conversations, not during conversations.
That's fine. That's authorized.
Right. Today's conversation is something that's near and dear to my heart, and Jack is here specifically for this conversation.
Yeah, and you've been wanting to talk about this for a while, and I think there's a couple of things that you're going to mention that that's where I say that don't sound right. So I can't wait to hear of these things, these items, these ideas. Yep. You two specifically claim that you've invented without any prior art knowledge.
Yes.
Before you.
Absolutely.
So we're talking about inventions. Things that Jack and I have specifically invented. So you've actually written a paper on this, right?
Yes, this was my college application essay topic. The question was, what sort of story do you have that has to be told, that you couldn't complete your application without telling? And mine
Tell us, man.
Yeah, I've got all these different dozens of ideas that I've created 100% authentic, original, they're mine. And I go and look it up or I tell someone about it and they've been around for decades or something.
I have had the same thing happen. But tell us, kick us off, man.
Yeah, so very first one was we're at Thanksgiving dinner and I've been previously tasked with making all the mashed potatoes. So big family, lots of potatoes to peel. Now, peeling's the worst part.
Now, just some information that Jack is the designated mashed potato maker.
Okay.
He does have the recipe and the technique down that no one of us really even want to make mashed potatoes because his tastes so good. And it's not just because he does all the work. It's just they're good mashed potatoes.
How long have you been doing that?
That's a great question. 5 years or so, maybe.
Okay.
Well, this must have started before I went to college, so 5 or 6. Yeah, so I've got the recipe, I've got the technique, you might say, but I didn't have the equipment. What I wanted was some sort of device that could peel the potatoes significantly faster and easier than just a little hand peeler. So why not attach some sort of peeler to a screw or some sort, or a hand crank?
Right.
So as you're cranking this machine, it starts to peel it as the potato spins around there.
I've
kind of like a lathe.
Yeah.
Well, so that's the most disheartening thing I could hear. You've already seen that.
I've seen it.
My mom had one in the basement that you.
Oh, did she really?
Which I would have been great to know.
Right.
As we're peeling potatoes the prior years or whatever.
So the way I remember it looking is that they have apple peelers too. Mm-hmm. So it's like you put the apple on like a lathe, and it has a little floating spring-loaded blade.
Yep.
It's usually a circle. And as you crank it, it just holds that blade against the hammer. Yeah, but you did it without knowing that.
And that's true. And that's, so I can claim a little bit.
Yeah. That's great invention.
Yeah.
Somebody should make that.
Yeah. Another one that I like to think about is the idea of a 3D measuring app. So Apple's come out with this recently, I think, maybe within the past few years. But the idea was you'd take an index card on anything you want, just a simple 3x5 index card, take a picture of that index card on whatever you want to measure. So say you want to see how big your laptop screen is or how big your TV is. Place something that you would know the size of, so maybe a 3x5 index card, snap a picture of it, and then it can do all the photogrammetry that you need to figure out, based on this scaled 3x5 index card, how big is this, whatever you want to measure. Apple's got some sort of measuring app along with its level or something that you
I've seen that measuring app.
You don't need you don't need the index card.
You don't even need.
I don't know where it gets its reference from, though. I don't know how it knows what an inch is.
That's a good question.
I don't know, but it knows.
I've seen the measuring app, but I haven't seen one that would put a reference on there. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
we should do that one.
Yeah,
should make that one.
Yeah. Another one, keeping in the kitchen theme, was the need to move around. It's like a skillet. So say you're cooking something on a stove.
You're not getting ready to describe a hot pad, are you?
Oh, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. Basically a frying pan that's got an electric skillet built into it that you can take anywhere, right?
Oh.
It's battery powered.
That's different, yeah.
So basically a hot pad with a pan on it.
You mean a hot plate?
Hot plate.
Hot plate, yeah.
I didn't think you were getting ready. I thought you were getting ready to describe an oven mitt, and I was like, okay,
yeah. We've had those for a while.
So you're talking about a movable frying pan?
Yeah, I'm just talking about some sort of.
Well, now, you know what's happened in this instance?
What's that?
Your age is hurting you here.
Oh.
Because in the 70s, the portable plug-in skillet was a big deal. It was like, it was exactly what you're talking about. It had a heating source under a skillet, and you plugged it in. They're super dangerous.
Had a little dial.
Had a little dial on the handle. Yep. Yeah, so it was the handle, the dial, the frying pan, and a treacherous plug that could drag the whole apparatus off the counter.
Right. It was usually too short.
It was too short, and it was really hard to plug in and off. So if you caught the pan, or if you caught the cord, it was dragging the pan off.
Because the plug was so short, people would take extension cords. And so you got all these cords all over the place.
Yeah.
And so the person cooking very well knows where this cord is. But the people wandering around walk by, snag the extension cord, and this hot plate of molten grease goes flying off the table onto people, pets, furniture.
Yeah, it was. But that was working.
Why did we make this thing? We have a stove that has a heat source and a pan that put oil in it. Why did we make this?
That's my thought. I've seen the plug-in ones. It'd be much better if this was battery powered. So maybe I can take it camping, or maybe I can take it to my dorm or something, and I don't need to worry about being in a certain spot that I can use. I need a fume hood or something.
Yeah, I don't know why they made those, because and they were impossible to clean because they had all that electronics.
Right, you can't dip it in the water.
Yeah, battery powered. I could see that.
Would you ever use it in a place that doesn't have a stove? Like
maybe that was maybe
a single egg. You need to cook a single egg or something. Did either of y'all have one of those?
We had one.
Both of them. Okay,
and we used it routinely.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, that's another one.
Yeah, I don't know why
we made pancakes on it.
Yeah, we did a lot of stuff in it.
Yeah.
Have no idea why we had it.
Why did we do that?
Yeah. What else you got?
Yeah, one of my favorite ones was just lane assist technology for cars. I'm working on robots probably 10 years ago, and we have all these color sensors. We can figure out how to follow a line. Why not make a car be able to do that and stay between two lines?
So you're saying you had this idea prior to lane assist?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was probably out in its infancy or something, but plenty years before it's come on every single car nowadays. Yeah, just make it go straight. It doesn't need to. It didn't even consider merging lanes, but as long as it keeps it straight a little bit, that's all you need.
So do you want to know the one I think I invented?
Tell me.
And we'll let you finish your list. So me and a buddy decided one day we were going to figure out what made lightning bugs light up.
Okay.
So if you know, it's just a chemical reaction that happens in the body. And so it causes the bioluminescence. So we figured it out.
Wait, how did you figure this out?
Well, because this was pretty early in the thing. So we got pretty close.
All right.
Just through like encyclopedias and actually written references.
I'm really counting on your chemistry background here to shine through right now.
Well, I don't remember the chemicals that caused it, but we got close. And so basically I was like, well, now that we kind of know how this happens, this biological process happens, you could put this in, you could have these two chemicals and mix them together and
you could replicate it.
The guy that I was figuring that out with, his dad was a chemical engineer.
Yeah.
And it wasn't long after that that I started seeing those things on the market.
Yeah.
The sticks, the glow sticks.
The glow sticks, right.
Yes. And so
Did he do it?
I don't know. I'm just telling you, this are the little puzzle pieces I have, is that we came up with this idea one day, and then I started seeing it on the market.
Okay.
And then,
so you can't verify.
I can't verify that the link. No, I can't verify the link. But it's very suspicious that we came up with it. His dad was a chemical engineer, and then these things went on the market.
And these are like the big. I guess back in the day, they're the big chunky ones.
The glow sticks that you snap.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mix them, and you have the white.
And now you have all kinds of variations of these things, different colors, different applications.
I think I came up with that.
You came up, and I think this is the one I said to myself, that don't sound right.
That may have been why.
However, I feel like you told me that it was his dad who really did come up with it.
No, I don't know. Okay. I don't know who came up with it. I don't know who invented it. Those are just the pieces I have. I know we figured it out. Not all the way down to
clever.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you did this?
I don't remember. We were in elementary school, probably.
No kidding.
No way.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So we came up with a concept. No, not other than a chemistry set.
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty strange.
Yeah. But it's very suspicious.
Yeah, I won't argue with that.
But I think probably the true story is like what happened with you and the potato peeler is like I had the idea, but somebody had already had the idea years before. I was just.
It'd be interesting to go back. Someone patented that. Must have.
I'd be
interested to go back and look at that patent, see who did that, and to see if it was your buddy's friend or your buddy's dad.
Yeah, I did.
Wouldn't that have been something?
I could Google that.
Yeah, that would have been something.
So did you have an application for your chemical reaction, or was it just trying to replicate? Were you just trying to replicate the...
We were trying to figure out how it happened, but then I thought, well, you could make this into a commercial product. You could. I mean, of course, I wasn't using those words as a kid, but I was thinking you can make glowing stuff out of this that you could use.
So I got to ask, what would you have named it? Because they kind of hit the nail on the head with glow stick.
With glow stick, that's right. Glowy stuff is probably what we would have called it.
That's better, yeah.
What else you got on your list?
Yeah, so I've got riding in the car one day, and I see all the baby on board stickers that all these cars got in the back rear window. Said to my mom, it'd be hilarious if I had a adult on board. Thinking, that's a pretty witty adult on board, or maybe no one on board.
Right.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's a whole fad, and how many years ago?
Yes.
With the baby on board.
Yeah.
Yellow diamond.
Yeah.
Everyone made a version of it.
Yeah, a parody of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that's the problem with inventions, man. Is getting out in front of the curve.
Yeah, I've yet to figure out how to do it. Hand crank phone chargers, I think, would be pretty cool. Just a little crank on the side. Yep.
Y'all seen that
too. Yep.
Well, now they've got have you seen the ones where you can burn wood and charge your phone?
Yes. Yeah. I love those. I did a paper on that. The technology behind that.
Yeah. So if you don't know what we're talking about, you can, if you camp, you can buy camping stoves now that whatever your fuel source is, you can charge your phone off the burning stove.
Now, I believe the guy that came up with that is the same guy who scaled it up to be the solo stove.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I listened to the podcast, I think, how I made this. And it was his story about his original version was basically for backpacking. And it used wood and sticks and twigs, and eventually they had some kind of little device on there that extracted that heat, converted electricity. But then he scaled it up to make the solo stove also.
You know, all the solo stove is a Pepsi G stove, Pepsi G backpacking stove. It's exact same.
Cecil, I don't know if you remember, but 20-some years ago, you let me borrow yours.
Didn't I?
Yep.
Because we were talking about it. I said, hey, I made a couple of those.
And it was made out of denatured. You have to use denatured alcohol. And I took it on a backpacking trip, and I used it.
Yeah. So what we're talking about is backpackers are always trying to make lighter and lighter stoves. And so someone who, to me, was genius, came up with, if you cut the top of a Pepsi can, it was the bottom of a Pepsi can and bottom of a Guinness can, they nested together.
I mean, they're different. I mean, they're off by a fraction of a millimeter.
Yeah. I mean,
but they would fit. Like if you try to take two of the same can and put it together, it won't get in. Yeah. But the Guinness can is, I think it's slightly bigger than the Pepsi. I mean, maybe the wall thickness of aluminum is bigger, and that sucker of the Pepsi, that thing will slide right in and nest in there perfectly to make basically another can. But then what do you do with it?
It makes a can. It's probably inch and a half tall, maybe. And so then you cut the bottom out of the Pepsi can, you can make a double wall, like a Solo stove, exactly like a Solo stove.
Exactly like a Solo stove.
And then you put maybe 50 openings around the top. And
like
so
pinholes. You put pinholes in the what's the bottom of a can.
I got a picture of it.
Yeah, so there's a bottom of the can and it's got that little radius at the bottom. You put pinholes in there.
And the alcohol ignites. The denatured alcohol ignites in the main well. It fills up the double wall, vaporizes, and then comes out all these holes and reignites. Mm-hmm. And that's essentially what a Solo stove does, is you're reigniting the gases of the wood. So yeah, this guy took a Pepsi G stove backpackers, like Mother Earth magazine stove, and made it into a $1 million, $1 billion product.
Oh yeah.
All right, you got what else are on your list?
Let's see. Probably my last one I got is going back to the lane assist technology. Warning signals as you're going out of the lane assist, but also the ability to adjust the car's volume. So if you're listening to music, maybe you're veering off the side, well, let's crank the music down a little bit. Maybe you need to focus on the road more. Yeah. Or for the reverse, if you're speeding up, if you're heading down the highway, maybe the sound of the tires, the sound of the pavement, a car's beside you, that starts to get too loud. Let's crank your volume up just a little so you can hear that as you're still driving.
I don't think we do that. We don't adjust the volume of the radio based on speed, strictly on speed. So as you get faster, the road gets louder, so you crank up the volume to counteract that. And then when you slow down, we turn it down because we're not
on the trucks.
Yeah, or I mean, I had a '90s GMC Yukon that did this. Yeah, speed dependent volume
from the '90s.
But what we don't do is we don't incorporate that into the driver assist system. We make secondary noises. We'll buzz at you or beep at you. But that's an interesting thing. What if we just fluctuate the volume of whatever you're listening to help with that? Now, it's no good if you're not listening to anything. You still need to beep.
Agree. Yeah. But maybe it kind of locks out. You can only move your volume up so much after you've merged off into another lane without signaling or something. Kind of keep you honest.
So, Cecil, you got some other things that you want to tell us about?
So, one of my earliest inventions, and this was based off of something I saw, was I had an automatic bed maker upper.
Oh, all right.
So this was basically what I had was some really high tensile strength line.
Yeah,
and I had to hook to some clips that went kind of over the headboard, and then under the bed, and then it went to a rod. The morning, the thought was, as you put these clips, you'd pull the clips across the top of the bed, hook them to your covers, and pull the rod, and just kind of pulled all the covers back up into place.
All right, yeah.
Completely impractical, but it worked.
Yeah. Did you actually try it?
I had it built. The end of that was that the cords got caught in their vacuum cleaner one day when my dad was vacuuming. That was the end of that.
It might have been just simpler to sleep on top of your made bed.
Or just make the bed. It took longer to find the little cords and the clips and do all that than it would just to make the bed. Later, I came up with this. So this was when cell phones were really kind of taking off. And the girls still laugh about this because we made some videos of it for like commercials. It was the digit widget is what I called it.
The digit widget.
And they actually, I've seen this. These have been made. So basically, it was like the gloves that have the pads so you can still work your phone with gloves on.
Sure, yeah.
But I was thinking that you would have these, and of course, there's already finger cots, that you put on your fingers, like if you cut them.
Yeah.
And so it turns out these things exist. There's industries that use like gloves that don't have the whole glove. It just covers your fingers. As I was thinking there would be these things that you would wear, especially like if you're in a call center, you would operate touchscreens or your phone without getting the oils on there.
Oh, right.
Because you're wearing the digit widget.
The digit widget.
Yeah, all right.
Now, what advantage does that have over a stylus?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. But I went as far as like calling some companies around here to see if they could make some prototypes. And I had made a prototype too.
What's the reason behind it? Is it just to
keep the oils off of whatever screen you're working on? Yeah.
Gotcha. Cleanliness.
So the next one, this was my brother's, but there was a company called Quirky. Do you remember this?
Quirky? I don't think so.
It was a platform for inventors. And the thing is that inventions were so hard to get to market Do you remember this? You're acting. Peter is making motions like you're.
Yes. No. I do remember this. I remember there was you and I. That's when you and I started talking about some inventions about this.
Yeah. So you would put your idea on Quirky, and it went out of business. But you put your idea on Quirky, and it was basically crowdsourcing it. So people would vote on your idea, and if your idea got enough votes, then they would move it through production. So Quirky's best product, I think, was a articulated power strip.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah. And so you could bend this power strip any way you wanted to, like around a table leg. I still have a Quirky product in that it's a weighted, it's like a paperweight, but it's got 4 slots in it to hold cables. So your cables don't fall off your desk.
Okay.
Yeah. Quirky Inventions, we submitted my brother's quick tie. And so this was a piece that you would hook in the trunk, and you would make just kind of one zipping motion, and it would tighten the trunk down around whatever you had.
This is where you can't close the trunk all the way.
Yeah. And we made one of those. I might still have it somewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, how is that different than just a zip tie?
It's not.
No.
That's the whole thing. But we put it on Quirky, and that one actually went kind of far on Quirky.
Did you?
Yeah. So you'd put your ideas on Quirky, and people would vote. And if they went far enough, Quirky would produce them.
Yeah. But they would give you a very small cut. I think that was.
They would give you a cut.
That was the kicker, is that you'd get a very small cut.
Yeah, you could get cuts of other people's products if you made improvements on the product, or you helped in the naming of the product or whatever.
All right.
But they went out of business. The other one I had was a refillable, so reusable K-cups. Came up with a refill mechanism to refill the K-cup. So it'd have the perfect amount for each cup.
So you would take an existing K-cup that you had already used,
or reusable K-cups,
or just a reusable little
K-cup. Yeah,
that you would jam.
Yeah. So you could buy the little reusable K-cups,
right? Okay.
And then this would just fill it for you instead of the one that my dad actually came out. This is when I was a little kid. There's vacuum systems on cars.
Yeah, built in, like the Honda van and this Toyota van. They've got built-in vacuums now.
And no, not like vacuuming for your. Yeah, they do have internal vacuum.
Yeah,
but I'm talking about the vacuum system that like advances your timing.
Oh, yeah, okay. From the engine.
For the engine, cars have vacuum systems. There were vacuum ports inside the cockpit, and so his idea was to plug into one of those vacuum ports and have, if you chewed tobacco, which he didn't.
No.
But if you chewed tobacco, you'd have almost like a dentist suction thing that you could just suck tobacco juice.
Oh, so you don't have to spit.
So you don't have to spit into a spit cup. You could just suck the tobacco juice into the vacuum of the car, and it would go into a little receptacle.
Okay.
And you could empty that out.
Empty that out. All right. During your oil change.
Yeah. Change your tobacco cup.
Change the oil, replace the air filter, and empty my dip cup.
Everybody's going to laugh at that now, but we had ashtrays in cars forever.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So you might as well have
ashtrays. I'm trying to remember the
lighters.
Do you remember the last car you had that had a cigarette lighter?
It was probably an 80s Chevy Celebrity, diesel. It was probably the last one that had it. I know my 68 had it.
I think my wife's 90-something Mitsubishi Mirage had a
Have you
had a cigarette lighter?
Had a cigarette lighter?
My Scout does. Your Ranchero does, doesn't it?
The Ranchero has a
cigarette lighter and an ashtray. Right.
Mm-hmm. And tobacco stains on the door. My granddad would spit out the window.
There you go.
He didn't have the suction device.
Now, if only.
Yeah. Now, Dad had another piece that he invented, and I was talking about y'all about this before the show, was just a little clip he had that was on his key ring that would hold his keys in his pocket at the corner of the pocket. And we thought about making those, and there was somebody already making them. Yeah. So that's the thing, man, is trying to find out and get out in front.
Got to be ahead of the crowd.
Well, this has been a great episode for me because I love you. Keep inventing, man. Don't give up.
I'll do what I can.
Yeah.
I'll let you know if I get anything good.
All right. Since you're a guest, we have the speed round. You ready for the speed round?
I have no idea what's coming.
So these are just 5 easy questions for a guest to answer.
How many guests have you all had? I'll do a lot of guests.
Oh, we have had a lot of guests.
Yeah, we have. We're probably about a dozen.
Right on.
Yeah, we have about a dozen.
You're answering one of the questions right now, even though you don't know. All right. You ready for your first question of the speed round?
Hit me.
Would you rather be a pharmacist or an engineer?
Training to be an engineer, so I'll go with pharmacist. No, engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer.
You are a mechanical engineer student.
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you listen to That Don't Sound Right?
I've been a long time knower of the long running.
As many of our children are.
Yes.
It's okay to say no.
Occasionally.
So what he just said is no. Do you think TSR is cool?
I genuinely like the concept. I like the idea.
Well, you're an inventor, so you can see where we do this.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. If you had to listen to one band forever.
One band. Oh, man. I've been recently into some bluegrass stuff.
Good man.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
I knew he had a lot of potential, Peter.
Yeah. But I don't know if I could name a band. There are a lot of these solo guys.
We can name a solo, any artist, right? It doesn't have to be
any
sure,
one source of music.
Yeah. Billy Strings is a lot of fun. Tony Rice is pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
I might go Tony Rice. I've been learning a lot of his stuff.
All right. Good choice. Wow, man, that's a deep cut.
Yeah, I hope so.
If you could live anywhere for 1 year, where would it be?
I'd love to check out Alaska. I have no idea what's in Alaska. I know it's cold. I think I could get behind the cold, but just the different climate, different environment than North Carolina.
Read Into the Wild.
Yes. Okay. I have heard it's something.
All right. Last question is, what is your dream car and or truck?
Dream car. So I've got a 2003 4Runner right now. Just hit 300,000 miles.
Good man. Just getting broke in.
Yeah. Well, that's what everyone's telling me. Yeah. So, I mean, I can't ask for more than that. Maybe a fully functioning, long-term functioning 2003 4Runner might be it.
Jack, you can go far in this world.
Sure.
Like, if you're listening to Tony Rice and a 300,000 mile 4Runner, the future is secure.
That's good. That's good to hear.
All right. Well, it don't sound right, but you have come to the end of another That Don't Sound Right.
Well, before we close, we want to thank everyone for listening. Thanks, Jack, for being here at the show. If this is your first time and enjoyed the conversation, would you consider hitting the subscribe button on the platform you listen with? Also, if you're a longtime listener, please give us a rating and leave us a review so others can easily find us enjoying the conversation. We're going to try something new this year, and we'd really like our listeners to help us with this. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear your voice, and we want to hear you say, Peter and Cecil, would you talk about this? Because that don't sound right. Say something like that. Leave us a voice memo through the super secret text hotline, or record yourself and email it to us, because we'd like to use your voice on our podcast, and we will address some of the things that you think that don't sound right. But that's the thing. They got to be a topic that don't sound right.
And if you've written in, we'll be doing a mailbag episode in the new year. We've got a ton of mail to go through, so we will get to your letters.
We might have to. We usually do it every 4 months. We might have to up that.
Yeah. So this will be the last episode of the year before the new year.
Last of 2024, man.
So this will be the closeout of season 4. We'll be starting season 5 with the next episode.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Certainly not me.
All right. That Don't Sound Right is a production of TDSR Podcast in conjunction with Campbell City Studios. I'm your co-host and sound engineer. Peter is your other host and web designer. Camille is your barista. Emily does our graphic design. Ella does our Instagram. And Giorgio tests our merchandise. Brent is our international brand ambassador. And as always, listener number 1 is Scott. So until next week, keep talking.
And stay curious.